Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Explore. Today we are on our way through the last raid of the Burning Crusade expansion. We are hitting up the Sunwell today. The Sunwell was a raid that came along with the same tier as Black Temple. Here at the Sunwell is where you will find your bracers, boots, and I believe belt tokens, I think is what it was, for your tier sets. The Burning Crusade was the last expansion where your entire tier set was actually a full set of gear. Once Wrath of the Lich King came out, they switched to just main pieces and everything else was off pieces. And so the interesting thing though about the tier sets here that will drop is that they don't actually match the tier 6 set. They match the offset pieces that drop in Sunwell. It's very, very strange. I'm not sure what they were thinking with that, but there it is. So as you can see, we are still donning our onslaught set for the warriors, but I'm gonna do things a little bit different this time, and we're gonna go into this raid as Fury. And just to give you kind of an example of what this will look like, just because it's fun, we have our full onslaught set with a sword that I'm particularly fond of, known as the Sun Eater. It drops in the heroic Mechanar if you're interested in that. I think they look pretty dope for like a Fury warrior or something along that caliber. But yes, again, most of the things you're going to be coming in here for will be offset pieces, weapons, things of that sort, or if you're a hunter and are looking for your legendary bow. Kind of fun for twinks and just bragging rights. It was the first legendary bow and hunters went stark raving mad for it. It's pretty awesome. Now the entrance to the Sunwell is right over here. Yes, and as you look on our map here on the Isle of Keldanos, the quickest way to get here is to take your faction city's portal from Pandaland to William Shatner City, also known as Shatrath. And then there is a portal in there to the Isle of Keldanos. There is no flying allowed here for flying mounts, so everything is ground mounts. It will port you in on top of a little pedestal, and then again as you look around you'll see the different areas of your raids. You have the 5-man heroic Magister's Terrace over here and the Sunwell Plateau. And so we're just going to cross over here and we're going to make our way into the raid. We are now inside the Sunwell. As you can see, we're greeted by some friendlies instead of enemies right off the bat. Again, very, very different looking than Black Temple. Very bright, very vibrant colors as opposed to being dark and shaded. Now, while this is a heavy blood elf infested area, make them sound like they're the scourge of the earth. Dang blood elves. Since Prince Kael'thas has been dealt with, killed already, you would expect him to be the final boss of this area, but he's not, again, because he has been killed previously. So the final boss here of this place is someone a little more sinister, pretty heavy when it comes to lore. So I've never done this before as Fury, so we're going to see how this goes. I can't imagine it would be too hard, since Fury tanks out some pretty heavy single target DPS. Some of the mobs in here can still be a bit challenging. If I can recommend with this pull in particular, I would recommend killing the Slayer here in the back first. They will do a ton of damage quite quickly to you if you let them just sit back there and free cast. So AoE is always a good thing here. But again, just take out that Hunter first or the Slayer in the back first and you shouldn't have too many problems. Again, no sense in pulling the extra trash we don't need to over there. One thing you're going to want to look out for while walking through this raid is the scout. He's over there. He can be anywhere. He walks around, patrols the area. If you aggro him, he will summon the whole room to you. So you want to kind of avoid him. If you're trying to avoid trash, you can hug that wall quite nicely, walk around to the guard, and no problems. As you can see, there's another scout coming up here real quick, so we're going to sneak by. We're going to keep going. Now, previously to Mist of Pandaria, this raid itself was actually not soloable simply because of the first boss fight. It was one of those mechanics where you had to go through a portal and you needed one person, at least one person outside the portal. You'd leave a certain amount from your raid outside the portal and a certain amount would go in. And so the problem is if you had no one out there to hold down the fort when you were outside the portal or so, then it would reset, and that was a problem. So recently, one of the patches here in Mist of Pandaria, Blizzard has fixed it to where You no longer need someone to be outside the portal, and you can just go right in and without any consequences, and you're able to take care of it, which is kind of cool. And here with this pull, again, if you're very careful, you can walk around the outer edges of this thing here, and you can skip them. Typically, the ones you won't be able to skip are the patrolling mobs, because again, they're like usually walking right in the middle of where you need to be. But a lot of the ones that are just kind of posted up somewhere, you can skip no problem. Now, I think it's worth noting really quick, just to make the fight a little bit easier, just because of the couple of mechanics on the first couple bosses in here. My talents that I went with are Blade Storm and Stormbolt. Everything else is pretty standard. What you'll play as a Fury or Arms Warrior, regardless. It doesn't really pay too much consequence to your ability to solo or not, but I do like Blade Storm or Dragon's Roar. You can probably get away with Dragon's Roar. I just like Blade Storm because it's a little better DPS overall rather than the single target stuff. And Stormbolt is just great because of how much damage it does to targets that are unstunnable, which is bosses. So it makes things a little bit easier in here. So our first boss is Kelsigos. Nothing too worrisome except for, again, the fact that he will open up a portal that will take you in, and you'll need to go in there. So, and that usually doesn't pop up. That does not pop up until you get him down to pretty close to dead or actually dead. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while since we've been in here. It's okay. So now he goes all ethereal and crazy, and he ports us in, and now we're fighting alongside his human side. Something to keep in mind, for whatever reason on this fight, if you clear it too quickly, it tends to bug out for me, and I don't get any loot. And that's obviously no fun. So you want to keep an eye out for that. As you can see, he'll drop here, and we got some loot. So you can see our bracer tokens here, which are really kind of useless because you don't really transmog bracers. But if you're into that sort of thing, more power to you. And then most of the bosses in here will drop their tier tokens and some off pieces. And then the bosses that don't obviously drop tier tokens will fill those slots up with other things. For our second boss in here, what's going to happen is before you can fight him, you'll encounter an RP event here. Brutalis versus Madragosa. Brutalis is a pretty intense pit lord who also happens to look like he's been through a thing or two. He has seen some things, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a cool little fight. Dragon versus the pit lord. Now while we're waiting for this to finish up, a couple things about Brutalis. If there's any fight in this raid that will give you a hard time soloing it, it will be him. He has a stacking debuff that will constantly do more fire damage to you as it stacks, so keep an eye out for that. Blood DKs do excellent at this simply because of absorbs, anti-magic shield, anti-magic zone. Because the nice thing about it is if you can absorb it or prevent it, it doesn't stack. So for every like one that you prevent or absorb, it doesn't get the stack, so you can reduce the damage you'll take even next time. So DKs do quite well at this. If you're under geared, fresh 90, just in blues, you might need to come in here as prot, just simply because that debuff does tend to ramp up pretty quick. So something you'll want to keep an eye on. And he's the biggest reason we want to take Stormbolt as one of our talents here. See that massive 700k crit? It's dope. Meteor Slash is the one you want to watch out for. So again, keep an eye on your defensives. But again, it's at 550 item level, it's not a problem at all. And probably anything less. I mean, even if you're in Timeless Isle epics, you shouldn't have a problem at all. So we get some belts, a funky looking mace, and yay, no warrior stuff. And now he bleeds all over the ground. Oh, look at the dragon. He's like, help me! And the dragon's actually our next boss. He's an ugly looking dude. does take a little bit of time for this boss to summon, which is kind of cool for you, I suppose, if you're needing to rebuff from food, heal up, things like that. It might be worth it to you for that. But it is worth noting a couple mechanics you're going to want to look out for. The boss will, at various points throughout the fight, fly up and fill the room with gas that can, in fact, kill you if you stand in it, so keep an eye on which side he's flying back and forth on, because it'll only fill up half of the room. And it's typically going to be left or right. That's the only mechanics I've seen him use. I don't think he's ever done like top or bottom. It's always left or right over here, so just keep an eye on that, where he's flying, where he's going to spread the gas to and try to get out of it. Just again, simply because it can kill you. He will summon little skeleton things that will rise up out of the gas, so that's worth looking out for. Hey Facebook, how's it going? If you can kill him before he gets there, then you're good. He does have a mechanic where he'll pick you up and start trying to eat you. So again, you'll want to watch out for that. It doesn't actually do a whole lot of damage. I think you can actually DPS him from inside still, so it's whatever. Yay! We didn't have to deal with the gas, which makes me happy. If you're a ranged class, you can still damage him from up there, but a lot of times you're just kind of stuck. And there's our warrior boots. As you can see, they don't actually match or go with our onslaught set. It's very, very strange, but that's what they are nevertheless. They do, however, again, match some of the plate pieces that will randomly drop from here, so if we can pick those up, that'll be cool. Now, you cannot progress to the rest of the raid unless you're able to beat these first 3 bosses. Kelsey Ghost comes down after you've saved him from earlier, and he freezes or blows out the fire here. How helpful. Thank you. And then we can progress on, and you have to finish those first 3 bosses before you can move on. But after you beat them, the rest of it's pretty much smooth sailing. Not too much of a challenge left after that as far as soloing goes. These blood elves look nuts! Supposedly, I guess in Warlords of Draenor, we're getting a little novelty item that lets us transform ourselves so we can look like these fell blood elves, I believe they're called, so that's kind of cool. Transformation items are always fun. Most of them don't drop any loot or anything like that. The trash in this room is avoidable. Apparently we have someone running after us. Where did you come from? You're going to keep going down this pathway and walk down these stairs here to our next boss. There's really not too much to explore or see in here. It's pretty straightforward as far as just from boss to boss to boss to boss. I don't think there's any optional bosses. It's a pretty linear raid as far as I can remember. I've always come in here for a full clear anyway, so it never really mattered to me much, but in case it's information that you're wondering or looking for, that's something to keep in mind, I suppose. The twins can be a little bit of a challenge simply because they are 2 of them. They don't have a shared health pool, so you'll have to kill both of them. Just focus one down and you're usually pretty good to go. Love that storm bolt. Fabulous damage. I haven't ever noticed any mechanics that really do a whole lot except for Dark Touch. If you let that stack up, obviously healing is going to get reduced. But healing has never really been an issue in here, again, unless you're undergeared, so just keep an eye out for that. Crafting materials, cloth. Oh, that's a cool bow. Alright then. If I was a hunter, I would be giddy. Now, for twinks, I know a lot of hunters will come in here and try to get the legendary bow for their twink hunter, which is all good, but I think actually stat-wise, that bow in particular, the golden bow of Kel'Thalas, want to make sure I said it properly. I believe overall damage and like stat wise it's actually better, but sometimes it's just fun to have a legendary for bragging rights, for intimidation factors, and all those things. Not that hunters really need any help with any more damage, they do so much as it is. Let's see if we can walk through these guys. Ha! The ads in here are really funny. Like in this particular area you can walk right by most of them, you don't need to attack them at all. I don't know if it's a bug, working as intended, but there it is. Like, they just do not care about us at all. They could not be bothered. Their field of bothers is barren. Now these mobs in particular, if you can't kill them quickly, they will bubble themselves, and they have a mechanic that makes them immune to anything but holy damage. So make sure you blow them up pretty quickly or you'll be here for a while. They won't kill you, but you'll just be sitting here for quite a while if you're like a caster or melee. Mauru, the next boss. He not too challenging. He'll kind of pick you up and throw you around the room. If the fight lasts long enough, he will summon ads. He's a boss with 2 phases, 2 faces, which we're getting into right now. Got the crazy electricity going everywhere. He'll start summoning ads. There's his true form. Entropius. We're just going to start spinning around in circles like a deranged ballerina. There's that. And if the fight does last long enough, he'll kind of pick you up and start throwing you around the room. Yeah, that's a cool sword. I like that sword. Muramasa. I'm a fan of it. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten any plate pieces to drop, which is kind of a bummer. But that's alright. Can't win them all, right? Now, the art in this room is actually pretty cool. As you can look, there's like some crazy looking dude on the wall, which is kind of an homage to our final boss. Again, if Prince Kelthos wasn't dead, you would anticipate him to be the final boss here, as this is the Blood Elves' home, their beloved city. They want it back. They want the Sunwell because it is the source of their magic. They are addicted to the arcane energy. It's like a drug to them. Typically, originally it was just where all their power came from, but they got so used to it, they got so attached to it that they couldn't live without it, and they'll do anything to get it back. Which is why they made a pact with some demons. That's why there's so many demons running around here. I know the Eridar, which are these dudes right here, they're trying to take it back because they want it. Which is why the Burning Legion is here. I mean, which makes sense that this was what it was, because it was a Burning Legion centered expansion, the Burning Crusade. And here is our final boss. Always reminds me of Fantasia. I don't know why I like the way he's crawling up out of here. We have Kil'jaeden. Kil'jaeden's pretty cool dude. He's got some funny faces though. If the fight lasts long enough, it can get a bit dicey, but it really shouldn't, like, at all. My Undergear DK came in here, took care of this no problem. My Shaman's been soloing this again for so long, so it's nothing too challenging. Again, the only 2 bosses you'll ever have a problem with will be those first few, and after you get them, you're good. Just kind of keep running around in circles to dodge the stuff he's throwing at you. The best thing about Stormbolt for these fights is it only has a 30-second cooldown, which I think is wonderful. Big damage like that on such a short cooldown. Yes, please. Thank you. Get the apparitions, and there we go. And as you can see, I've never actually come in here and soloed this all the way through on my warrior. Never had a reason to. Oops. So hey, thanks for being with me for a first for us. Would have been awkward if I failed, right? As you can see, very dramatic ending there for Kil'jaeden. This fire we can stand in. Let's loot his body. It looks like no legendary bow. That's okay. Wouldn't have meant anything to us anyways. Hey, there's some plate. Hey, at least we got something. Would have been kind of funny to pick up the legendary bow, though, just to kind of rub it in hunters' faces and be a jerk. Because hunters take all our loot, so we're going to take their loot. Yeah, it's messed up. I'm sorry. It's really selfish of me. But that's Sunwell. Very, very quick, short, sweet, to the point. Shouldn't take you too long to solo at all. Again, just those first couple bosses can be a bit tricky, mostly Brutalis. After Brutalis, then you're pretty much clean sailing. Just keep watching out for those mechanics on the third boss, on that undead dragon. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you have any fun stories or memories about raiding Sunwell, love to hear about them. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed it. I do enjoy hearing from you guys and seeing that positive feedback. And this is actually the last in our Burning Crusade section of raids. So starting next time, we should start branching into the Wrath of the Lich King raids, which are a bit more challenging. And we'll see how well we do, because some of them can be done on 25-man mode, some of them can be done and have to be done on 10-man mode. I think they're going to test me a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. It's always kind of fun to push yourself as a player. We are coming up on some mechanics and some bosses that just cannot be soloed simply because of mechanics. So we'll deal with those as we come up on them. But I appreciate those of you who have been watching and enjoying these thus far. Hope you'll continue to stay tuned. So with that, hopefully we'll see you guys next time.